Everyone knows that racism is a cancer and it still exists in pockets of the country. But because Biden has no positive agenda to share with Black America, he has to sell fear and engage in the most despicable slander.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to need you to hang on to your seats because I'm going to tell you something that may shock you to your very core. Fox News might not be showing you the whole picture.
I am shocked. Shocked. Well, not that shocked.
Laura Ingraham, in particular, maybe, just maybe, woefully deceiving her viewers.
And the patronizing racial bile, well, of course, is going to be spewed against whatever other tricks Democrats have up their sleeves.
I know that's harder to hear than an earful from Judge Janine after some boxed wine, but it's true.
A cat? Are you kidding me? He almost lost a cat. Jill and I know what it's like to lose. This guy has been
lying from the moment he came on the political scene. He has a lack of empathy. He is egocentric. He's got a condescending smirk whenever anybody asks him a question from the press.
While discussing the president's remarks in the wake of the horrific racist hate crime in Florida, the Fox News host threw to some video footage showing his remarks. Only she seemed to leave out a few beats.
The fact is, Biden would have lost big without a big turnout from African Americans in 2020. We saw that in Pennsylvania. We saw that in Georgia. And Democrats know full well that without a similar groundswell next fall, Biden can't win. So what are Democrats going to do? Well, they're going to do what they always do. They're going to lie about America. Everyone knows that racism is a cancer and it still exists in pockets of the country. But because Biden has no positive agenda to share with Black America, he has to sell fear and engage in the most despicable slander.
White supremacy is a poison. It's a poison. It's been allowed to grow faster and fester in our communities. Domestic terrorism rooted in white supremacy is the greatest terrorist threat we face in the homeland. The greatest threat. We have to act.
No, Joe. The greatest threat to the African American community right now, Democrats who have nothing to offer other than trash talk and division.
Thankfully, we're on hand to show you the full thing.
White supremacy is a poison. It's a poison. It's been allowed to grow faster and fester in our communities. Domestic terrorism rooted in white supremacy is the greatest terrorist threat we face in the homeland. The greatest threat. We have to act. You know, but we know this, as I made clear in my inaugural address. White supremacy is a poison. It's a poison. It's been allowed to grow faster and fester in our communities to the point where the intelligence community is determined, the U.S. intelligence community is determined that domestic terrorism rooted in white supremacy is the greatest terrorist threat we face in the homeland. The greatest threat. We have to act. We have to act.
Now, the funny thing about this is, even with the edited version she aired, it's no less true.
Of happenings throughout our state. Look, at the end of the day, the governor has blood on his hands. He has had an all-out attack on the Black community. With his anti-woke policies, which we know very well was nothing more than a dog whistle to get folks up and riled up in the way in which it just happened on yesterday. As I listened to him for the first time with that statement, my blood is literally boiling. Myself and other representatives, particularly Black representatives, throughout the past few legislative sessions, we have repeatedly told him what his rhetoric was going to do. And that is exactly what transpired on yesterday.
Nor is it some new campaign strategy that Biden's unveiling. He said the same thing back in May, when yeah, the same thing was true then. White supremacist terror is the most immediate terror threat in America.
President Biden likes to portray himself as the uniter-in-chief, but he's catching a lot of flack over a very divisive commencement speech. Biden was addressing the graduating class at a historically Black college, Howard University, and focusing a lot on race.
We know that American history has not always been a fairy tale. A harsh reality that racism has long torn us apart. It's a battle that's never really over. Enough of us have the guts and the hearts to stand up for the best in us. To choose love over hate, unity over disunion, progress over retreat. To stand up against the poison white supremacy, as I did my inaugural address, to single out as the most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy.
Consistently what he talks about, and it's rooted in truth. So both Attorney General Merrick Garland and Secretary Mayorkas have talked about that the greatest threat to America comes from domestic terrorists that are motivated by racial supremacy of white people. That's just the facts about who is killing. You say it's a shooting every once in a while. We're 10 days past the Allen, Texas outlet mall shooting, right, with a guy swastikas on him that goes in there and takes off little kids' faces. We have manifestos of people who go into Walmarts and say that you want to get rid of brown people. And it is a serious threat. And he's trying to draw a distinction between how his administration and how he sees the world versus a previous administration, what could be a new administration coming in, who doesn't seem to be bothered by it at all. And there are a tremendous amount of achievements that the Biden administration has done in improving the lives of black people in America, the lowest black employment rate right now, the investments in HBCUs like Howard University, stuff they're doing through the infrastructure bill. And that's what he's trying to do. And that ABC Washington Post poll is a complete outlier in terms of support. And first of all, Trump beating Biden, but in terms of black support, Latino support, et cetera. So we'll see where that goes, but that number is off.
The fact that she left out that this came from those in charge of such security, with the hopes of it appearing like it was just some hot take from Biden, which we know her viewers would eat up in a second. But it is true. However, in admitting to it, it would require them at Fox admitting to their own role in enabling such things, their own role in downplaying such a threat, when frankly the red flags are more like red flares.
The man suspected of gunning down nearly 24 people behind me is believed to have written an online rant, worried about a, quote, Hispanic invasion. And that detail alone makes this next clip all the more outrageous. Watch what Fox TV host and Trump whisperer Tucker Carlson says about the problem of white supremacy in America.
The whole thing is a lie. If you were to assemble a list, a hierarchy of concerns, of problems this country faces, where would white supremacy be on the list? Right up there with Russia, probably. It's actually not a real problem in America. The combined membership of every white supremacist organization in this country, would they be able to fit inside a college football stadium? White supremacy, that's the problem. This is a hoax. Just like the Russia hoax. It's a conspiracy theory used to divide the country and keep a hold on power. That's exactly what's going on.
The greatest terrorist threat we face in the homeland. The greatest threat. We have to act.
No, Joe. The greatest threat to the African American community right now, Democrats who have nothing to offer other than trash talk and division. And the patronizing racial bile, well, of course, is going to be spewed against whatever other tricks Democrats have up their sleeves. Especially thinking things like COVID restrictions, mail-in ballots, ballot harvesting, early voting, you get the picture.
But I'll give it to her though, it is a bold move considering her network is splashing out on one hell of a Dominion after work happy hour by knowingly misleading her audience. Maybe the champagne is running dry.
Hey Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.